Hey guys, Julian here with another anime review, and it hasn't even been a year since we got the launch of Dota Dragon's Blood Book 1, and just yesterday it dropped Book 2. So, let's take a look at this Netflix anime. First up, let's talk about which Dota heroes have made it into the story so far, as well as the new ones introduced in Book 2. First up, in Book 1 we had Dragonknight Davion, Princess Mirana, Luna, Terrorblade, Invoker, and, well, technically Marci, who actually made it into the game during this one-year gap. Also, Book 2 has introduced us to Lina, Crystal Maiden, Pangolier, and the Winter Wyvern, who actually get to make their appearances in Book 2. So first up, I want to take a look at my anime theory that I did about Book 2 first and see what I got right, which I did get right on a few things. Davion and Mirana did grow closer throughout the season, even though in the beginning they were separated as we saw at the end of Book 1. By the end of it, they did reunite. Luna has chosen the path of redemption, which I thought better suited her character instead of one going down a villainous rabbit hole. She actually had a much larger part to play in this season, and her character development was actually pretty good, I have to admit. Davion also has come to terms with the dragon inside of him, and he was actually able to slightly be able to control it, which was really cool to see throughout some of the scenes. But enough of just some of the old characters, we got introduced to other ones, right? Like I said, we got introduced to new heroes such as Crystal Maiden, who made brief appearances throughout this season. She didn't play a major role, but she was kind and compassionate, and it was just nice to see her on screen. Terrorblade also got a bit more character development, but he was more of a complete subplot. But he was growing to be the overarching villain, which we didn't get to see this season, but I have a theory we'll get to see him real soon. But let's get back to it. Let's get more into Book 2. So it does pick up right where Book 1 left off, so there's no time skip, no time jump. We're right back where we ended, which is great. But this season we got to focus more on Mirana this time around. We learned more about her past, Marci's past, and their upbringing, which was pretty cool to see. I mean, I get it, I wasn't too big in the Dota lore, so to see where Mirana came from, what she was a princess of, and have sun powers was kinda cool. Again, like I said, did not know anything about the lore, so it was all a thoroughly interesting surprise. Again, I'm now gonna put a huge spoiler warning up because anything going forward does reveal more huger details of the story again. So, Davion does come to terms with his dragon side a bit, and we understand that he ultimately, with Slylark, will have to fight Terrorblade, and he goes on the hunt searching for the relics that he needs to do so. We also get to meet some new dragons in the series, which at the time I wasn't quite sure, but I do have a bit more confirmation that it was the Winter Wyvern, who turns out to be very intelligent. I mean, okay, dragons are really smart, but she was quite independent, which I thought was really, really cool. She and Braum bound very heavily throughout the book, and I will talk about more about them in Romance Corner, but their bond was really sweet. And it was really cool to see a dragon's human side, to say the least, throughout this series. Luna, like I said before, had a lot of character development, and it was great to see just how much of an emphasis she put on protecting Princess Mirana, as well to see her own skills in action, being an old fugitive, to say. One part, though, I was a little kind of disappointed on was just kind of how much of a role Fimrin had. Her role throughout this book was quite dismal. She didn't have that many scenes, we didn't get to see her in too much action, but I think that's because they were building up to her being in Book 3 and having a much larger presence there. So I'll kind of sideline her for now, but let's talk about Lina. Lina was truly amazing to see on the screen. She really lives up to her nickname, the Slayer. And this book was action-packed to the brim. It was smarter, it was more mysterious, and more thrilling than the first. I think this one did a lot more right compared to the first book, which is great. It wasn't just setting up the world of Dota anymore. No, we got to explore it more, get into its inner workings, see the politics go at play. You know, we got to see these heroes more in their element. We got to see them shine, use their abilities just a slight bit more. But again, a little bit of a spoiler, it was a little disheartening to see some of these heroes die. We did lose quite a bit. Well, not quite a bit, but we lost some pretty good characters, I thought, throughout this book. So the plot twist and the treachery really played a huge part within this book, which made it even more enjoyable, but some of these characters will be sadly missed. And again, if you don't want to hear, quickly skip ahead 10 seconds. But we lost Lina, Marci, Winter Wyvern, unfortunately. And Marci was a huge favorite of mine, so I was pretty disappointed when she was cast off. But I am looking forward to book 3 to see how the story will continue to progress. Alright guys, now it's time for Romance Corner, and we have quite a few relationships I want to talk about. So the first up I'm going to talk about is Davion and Lina. Now this is a new entry, as much as there seemed to be a love triangle between Davion, Lina, and Mirana. By the end of the series, that love triangle is no more. Davion still chooses Mirana. But Davion and Lina were a really nice couple. I mean, they're both children of fire. So they actually had a really deep bond, and kind of the first words they say to one another is, "I feel like we've met somewhere before." Maybe they have in their journeys, who knows, but they did have a really nice connection. And their scenes were quite sweet together. I mean, it did seem that Lina was truly interested in her, or in him I should say, my bad. And it was just kind of unfortunate that it ended this way. But you know, Davion's heart still belongs to Mirana, and Lina just couldn't quite take the place there. So let's talk about Davion and Mirana. In the beginning, they were separated, and by fate, they got reunited. So to see them come together again was truly sweet. Again, they didn't have like really truly coupley moments like they did back in the first book, but we did get to see them stand together and bond over their pain, and just show just how much they really care about one another, so I was quite happy to see that. Another couple that I was really happy to see was Braum and the Winter Wyvern. Now, they were quite comedic in the beginning. Braum is very skittish, very cowardly, and WW just kind of takes advantage of that by trying to help build up his confidence. I mean, it was truly a sight to behold to see how much this dragon actually cared for a human. And it kind of felt like at least Braum for sure definitely had feelings towards her. Like, the minute she turned into human form, bam, he had what, like, all over her. But it was something about her that made him want to be stronger and protect her. And by the end of it, again, quite spoiler alert, she does pass away. I'm curious to see in book 3, will we get to see him grow stronger, and will he fall in love again? I mean, I hope he does find happiness and find his own strength. Another couple that really didn't get too much screen time, so I'm going to talk very briefly, was Kaden and Crystal Maiden. It was mentioned that they do have a past because she did save him before, but we don't quite know how deep their roots lead, but it does seem that Crystal might have a bit of feelings toward Kaden. Kaden obviously has that braced tone to him and very monotone, no emotion being shown, so I don't quite know how he feels about her, but I do think he genuinely cares about her and watches out for her as well. So we'll see if they make a reappearance in book 3, and hopefully their relationship can grow as well. Alright guys, now it's time once again for the 3 reasons why you should be watching at least this season, if not the entire series. Number 1, it is action-packed. This second book really ramps up the number of battles and fight scenes that we got to see, and I think they did a bang good job with it. I love seeing these fights and seeing these characters rustle around. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I think you guys will too. Number 2, It is thrilling. You're constantly wondering what's going to happen next. You want to keep watching, you have to know what's going on. And that ties a bit into number 3, which number 3 is it's mysterious. There are always mysteries shrouded in everything. And with every unanswered question, and once we get one answer, 2 more questions appear. I think this series is thoroughly enjoyable, and even if we only get one more season, I hope they continue to explore the world of Dota because there are so many more mysteries in that world that need to be explored. Well, Book 2 arrived sooner than expected, so be sure to check out the Book 3 anime theory after this video to see what I kind of think will happen in the next book of the series and what's left in the series to be done. Thank you guys all for watching, and that's all for this video. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. I hope everyone takes care, and I'll see you around. You know what I find strange? The Dota anime actually came after the Pacific Rim anime. And we actually got a Book 2 before we actually got a second season of that one. And I thought Pacific Rim was a lot more popular and a lot more people enjoyed that. So I'm kind of hoping that the second season drops really soon because I feel it has a much larger fan base and I just really can't wait any longer for it.